If you've been driving around the Ranchos thinking, I could live here, I want to save you some time. I bought one of these homes over a decade ago. So I'm not going to tell you why they're beautiful. You can see that. I'm going to tell you the parts that you can't see. There are thousands of pros and cons videos about neighborhoods online. Almost none of them are made by people who actually live in the one that they're talking about. I do. So today's a little different. The Cliff May Ranchos. About 700 homes off of Studebaker, tucked into the 90808. Designed and built together in the mid-1950s as one architectural vision. Single story, post and beam, indoor-outdoor, you already know all of that. What you might not know is how that vision shapes everyday life here, for better and for worse. 8 pros, 7 cons, I'm not pulling punches on either side. By the end of this, if you still want one, I'll know you really want one. Let's go. I'm not giving you the architecture lecture. Cliff May, post and beam, clerestory windows, indoor-outdoor living. There are great YouTube videos on all of that, including one that we made. What I'll tell you instead is what it's like to live with this architecture. You'll wake up to light you don't get in a normal house. Every room sees the outside. The walls don't fight you. You stop closing doors because you don't need to. And after a while, every other house I walk into feels boxed in. That's what the architecture actually does to you. It quietly changes what you expect a room to feel like. Originally, every single one of these homes were built as one story. That sounds small, but it's actually one of the most quietly powerful things about the neighborhood. Aging parents can visit and not worry about a flight of stairs. Knees that are starting to talk back don't have to listen. Kids' rocket fuel doesn't end with someone falling. The dog finds a spot by the door, and that's where he stays. In a market that increasingly stacks bedrooms on top of each other, single story is rare. In the Ranchos, it's the default. Most yards in Long Beach are visible from the street. Almost every Cliff May here has a full fence around the entire lot. Your backyard isn't a yard, it's a room. You use it more than you'd believe. Dinner happens out here. Birthdays happen out here. The dog lives out here in the summer. The line between the inside of your house and the outside is so thin that you stop noticing it. That fence line privacy is part of why this neighborhood feels calmer than the lot sizes alone would explain. And the prices these go for, lots this generous don't exist elsewhere in Long Beach. Not in the zip code, and not for this price point. You get room to garden, room for a casita someday if you ever want one. Room for a real outdoor space that doesn't feel borrowed from your neighbor. In a town that's been chasing square footage upward, the Ranchos chase it sideways. And honestly, on a Saturday morning, sideways feels better. Because every house was designed by the same builder, for the same vision. The whole neighborhood looks intentional. Not aspirational, intentional. Nothing feels thrown together. Nothing screams for attention. The street looks like the street wanted to look that way. You don't get that from a tract that grew up over 30 years from a dozen different builders. You get it from a neighborhood that was a single idea. It's the kind of calm you don't realize you've been missing until you've spent a Saturday morning in a Cliff May corner. A huge portion of the people who live here are full-on mid-century obsessives. They restore. They source era-correct fixtures from estate sales. They know each other's houses better than most people know their own. It rubs off on you whether you want it to or not. You stop buying replacement light fixtures at Home Depot. You start lurking on estate sale listings at midnight. You learn the difference between a real Heath tile and a tribute. And honestly, I love it. Living here makes you a better caretaker of your own home. 5 minutes to the 405, 5 minutes to the 605. Walking distance to El Dorado Park, which, by the way, is one of the most underrated public parks in this whole county. CSULB is right there, LBCC is right there, so is the Walter Pyramid. You're not stuck in downtown traffic. You're not isolated either. You're at a real working intersection of Long Beach. Close to everything, in the middle of nothing loud. It's a really, really good zip code. And then there's the resale story. Scarcity plus design recognition plus a buyer pool that really, really wants in. This combination has historically supported the strong appreciation here. I'm not going to promise you a number. No one who's honest with you ever should. What I will tell you is that Cliff Mays in this neighborhood don't get hit the way the broader market gets hit. That's a pattern, not a guarantee, but it's a pattern worth knowing about before you write the offer. I could keep going. There's a reason why I bought one. But this is also where most real estate videos stop. But I'm not most agents. Now, let me tell you where this neighborhood costs you something. Not bad news, but trade-offs, and they're real. Partially, you're paying for the name. Not entirely, the design really is rare, and the lot sizes really are generous. but a cliff may cost more than the same square footage 3 streets over. I've had this conversation with clients more times than I can count. You see the house, you fall in love. Then we run comps and the number is higher than what you're expecting. That premium is real. Go in knowing that. The architectural cachet costs money. The question is whether what you get back is worth that cost for you. And that's a question that only you can answer. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC. A lot of these homes still have the originals or close to it. Old systems are the norm here, not the exception. I'm telling you this as someone who's paid for a whole HVAC overhaul. Get a great inspector, build a reserve. Assume that any Cliff May you buy will need real systems work in the first 5 years. And if it doesn't, you got a gift. If you walked in expecting all cosmetics, you're in for a surprise that runs 5 figures. These are slab on grade. There's no crawl space under your house. That changes what's possible underneath. Repiping a Cliff May is a different conversation than repiping a Belmont Heights Craftsman. Adding subfloor systems is harder. Some repairs that would be straightforward elsewhere become trenching jobs here. It's not a deal breaker. It's a different scope, bigger number, and plan for it. Cliff May designed for flow, not for room count. Most of these homes sit under 1,400 square feet as they were originally built. Some come in under that. The layout prioritizes the indoor-outdoor connection over enclosed rooms. That's the point of the whole design. But it does mean that if you need 5 bedrooms or 2 home offices plus space for the kids, it's gonna feel tight. The houses are wonderful, but they're not big. That's a real conversation for some families and a non-issue for others. Figure out which one you are before you fall in love. And here's the one that almost no one tells you. In this neighborhood, you can't build up. A second story isn't on the table. The community has worked hard to keep all the roof lines consistent, and the rules reflect that. So if your family grows, here's what your options look like. You can grow out into the lot with a single story addition. You can sell and move, or you live with what you've got, but you can't go vertical. And this is a feature, by the way. The reason these streets look the way they look is because of that rule. The reason the neighborhood feels this calm is because of that rule. But it's also a real constraint on your life. Knowing it before you write the offer changes everything about how you choose. If you want to gut this place to the studs and modernize everything, the neighborhood will let you know. The pride that makes this community great can also make it intense. People here care about the original details. They notice when something gets replaced with something out of period. And the changes that compromise the original character tend to also hurt resale value because the next buyer is going to care just as much as the neighbors do. So you can renovate, of course you can renovate. You just don't get to renovate in a vacuum. And on the way out, the buyer pool can be niche. On the way in, that demand is the dream. You're buying into a neighborhood full of people who really, really want to be there. On the way out, that dynamic is a smaller pool. You're selling to buyers who appreciate this specific style, who understand what they're walking into, who are okay with the trade-offs we've been talking about. That can be a narrower audience than a standard 4-bedroom across town. With the right marketing and the right agent, the right buyer comes who appreciates everything that these homes deliver. None of these are deal breakers. They're trade-offs. The only bad version of buying a house is the one where you didn't know the trade-offs going in. Here's how I think about it. If you love single-story living, if you want a yard you'll actually use, if you're patient with old systems, and if you find the mid-century obsession charming instead of annoying, this neighborhood will be a gift. It is for me. Years in, I'm still not bored of walking my own street. If you need square footage, if you want to gut renovate without anyone weighing in, if you want to build up someday, this isn't the place. Trying to make a Cliff May into something it isn't will fight you every step. That's the Honest Field Guide. The comparison to this episode is called People of the Ranchos. 3 artists who choose to live in this neighborhood, in their own words, with their own work. Watch that one next. And if you're seriously thinking about buying or selling in this neighborhood, you know where to find me. I live here.